Hello, this is Chef John from foodwishes.com with peach pie. That's right, originally this was just going to be a demo on how to do that incredibly difficult, almost impossible lattice design for the top, but this peach pie filling came out so good I figured I'd show you that too. In the business we call that value added. And since we are going to cover so much, we better get this peach pie party started right now. So step one, we're going to prep our peaches. And not just any peaches, make sure you get this kind. They're called Freestone. And I actually had to tear one open at the market to make sure it was the right one. And this is how you'll know. If you break it open, that pit, that seed, that nut, whatever it is, will come right out. So make sure you get that kind of peach. Otherwise, this will become a nightmare. And of course, I totally bruised that peach trying to break it open. So instead, you're going to use a knife. Just go around the center like this. That stone's actually going to stop the knife as you cut around. So there shouldn't be that big of a chance you slicing open your palm. And once that's cut, just give it a twist, and that stone will come out quite easily, allegedly. All right, once you do get a grip, it's pretty easy. And then besides getting rid of that stone, we're also going to want to peel these. And I'm just going to use a potato peeler. That works fine, especially if your peaches are really firm like mine were. And if your peaches are too ripe to peel, you can also dip them in boiling water to get the skin off. But we'll talk about that on the blog. And then once those peaches are pitted and peeled, we're going to go ahead and slice them up. Now, generally people try to do wedges with these, but I'm not into wedges. I like to cut it down the center like this, and then just cut across into nice slices. I just think it's much harder for the average home pie maker to get even wedges versus even slices. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and slice up my peaches and toss those in a bowl. And then we're going to do a little extra additional optional step, which includes adding a tiny, tiny pinch of salt to this and half the sugar, about a half a cup of sugar. And I'm going to stir that in. And what's going to happen here, we're going to let this sit for about 20-30 minutes, and that sugar is going to draw liquid from that fruit. And what we'll do is we'll reduce those juices, which ultimately will reduce our risk of getting the dreaded watery pie. So we're going to mix that up. We're going to let it sit for about 20 minutes, 30 minutes, after which you're going to be amazed at how much juice comes out. Check it out. So what we'll do is we'll toss that in a strainer that's over a saucepan, let it sit for about 5 minutes, and then we'll simply place those juices on the stove on medium-high heat and reduce it down to a syrup. And as soon as that stuff reduces and looks like this, simply turn it off and reserve till needed. That's it. Okay, so that's set and it's on to the rest of the filling. So at this point, let's go ahead and mix the rest of the dry ingredients, which is the rest of the sugar, some flour, and a little bit of cornstarch. And then we'll take our whisk and give that a quick stir to kind of mix it all together. And that's it for that step. And we'll move on to the final phase of the peach filling. So believe it or not, I'm going to season mine up with a tiny, tiny pinch of cayenne. No one's going to know it's there, but it will amplify those flavors a little bit. We'll also do a few drips of fresh lemon juice, and then the tiniest, tiniest pinch of cinnamon. All right, we want our guests to suspect there might be cinnamon in there, but they don't know for sure. All right, that would be the perfect amount. And then we can go ahead and dump in the dry ingredients and give that a thorough mixing. And then once that's mixed, our filling's pretty much done, except don't forget, we have to reintroduce that syrup we made. So we'll pour that in, and we'll mix that up. And that fairly simple but incredibly delicious filling is done. And it's time to move on to the real point of the video, how to do a lattice crust. So you're going to need your standard 2-crust pie dough recipe. And of course, half the dough is going to go down into the bottom of the pie dish. And you'll make sure that's all pressed in good and very even. And definitely coming up over the edges of the dish. And then we'll go ahead and dump in our filling. And just take a spoon and kind of even it out. And once you've done that, I highly, highly recommend we give it the old tappa-tappa and the old shake-a-shake-a. We really want to settle that filling down. And once that's set, it's ready for the lattice top. So we're going to take that second half of the dough, but instead of just laying it over like that, we're going to cut it into like 1-inch strips. And once those are cut, we can start laying them over the pie. But first, we have to dot with butter. So we're going to take about 1.5 tablespoons of butter, just cut it or break it into small pieces and scatter that over the top, as even as you can get it. And here in an effort to make it more even, I grabbed a knife and tried to use that, which made things much worse. So don't do that step. But it really doesn't matter, that butter's going to melt into all those cracks and crevices anyway. And then once that butter's down, it is safe to start the latticing. So what I want you to do is lay down 5 strips just like this. Obviously you're using the longer ones in the middle and the shorter ones as you get to the outside. And once those 5 strips have been placed, we're ready to start weaving. And to do that, we're going to fold every other strip back halfway. So it's going to be that strip and that strip. And let me turn the pie this way so you get a better look. And then we'll lay 1 dough strip across the center like that. And then to make the weave pattern, all we have to do is take the strips that were folded back and fold those over the new piece. And then the 3 pieces of dough that weren't folded over simply get flipped back over that new piece. It actually sounds way more complicated than it is. And then we're just going to repeat the process with another strip of dough. So lay a strip down, We'll flip those 3 over. We'll flip those other 2 strips back. All right, so you get the idea. And then we'll simply continue that process. So we'll lay another strip of dough down. That one gets flipped over. That one gets flipped over. And now we just have one to flip back. And we'll go ahead and put our final strip for that side in. And fold that last piece over. And that half of the pie is done. And then you're simply going to repeat for the other half. So basically what this comes down to is laying strips down and figuring out which ones to flip over. Which isn't that hard. Because if you pick the wrong one, it's pretty obvious. So not too complicated. You'll figure it out. All right, you're the quarterback here. You got to be the Mark Rippon of your dough strip flipping. So we'll continue weaving until we get to the end. And by the way, always feel free to rewind these videos and watch them like 12 or 15 more times to really get these techniques down. That way you really learn it, and it looks like I have more traffic than I do. So everybody wins. And then once we've completed our lattice weave, you're going to go around and press that dough together, trim off any excess if you have a lot of it. I didn't, so I just kind of folded mine under. And then just to make it look nice, I'm going to go around and crimp the edges. As usual, I'll link to a video of my mom showing you how to do that. And at that point, that's pretty much ready for the oven, except I'm going to give it a little bit of a wash. And in this case, I'm going to use cream. I usually use milk. You can also use egg wash, but I do like milk or cream for this. And then last but not least, let's give this a very generous dusting of white sugar. And that pie's ready for the oven, which has been preheated to 350. And we're going to pop that in the center for about, I don't know, mine took 1 hour and 15 minutes. Yours might take less, yours might take more, but when it's done, it will look like this. It should be beautifully browned and bubbling. And then by far the hardest part of this entire recipe, you have to let this cool before you eat it. I know, I'm upset too, but it really does need time to set up and kind of solidify a little bit. So you really do want to let this cool completely. And if you do, you'll be rewarded with the perfect slice. Check it out. And then do yourself a huge favor and serve this with vanilla ice cream. Although some people like whipped cream, not to be confused with that poisonous whipped topping a lot of you people buy, which you really should stop doing. And as I go in with the fork, you can see that perfect filling texture, tender and very juicy, but absolutely no wateriness, which I think we have that little optional step at the beginning to thank for, reducing those juices. And this video was already too long, but I had like another 2 minutes of me eating this pie footage. It was that good, I couldn't stop eating, okay? So like I said, originally I was just going to show you the Lattice-Top, but the filling came out so good, I figured I'd show you that too. So usually at this point, I say I hope you give this a try. But in this case, I have to say I hope you give this and that a try. All right? So head over to foodwishes.com for all the ingredient amounts and more info as usual. And as always, enjoy.